So I've been coaching basketball, or I started coaching basketball since in 1991. And I've coached until about 2000 and about 2013, 2014. And, I've coached people at different levels, like very beginner, novice, to really seasoned players. And one thing that I've noticed is that sports and the real world, especially in the workforce, in business, they mimic each other. They definitely mirror each other. And, if you have played sports or have been part of sports in some form or fashion, you could have been a manager or whatever of a team, and you understand the competitiveness of the games and not just the game, but just being a player on a team, how competitive it is, trying to keep your spot, if you're a starter, trying to remain a starter. When you transfer that into the real world, it's the same thing. You're always trying to keep your spot, to be number one, to be on top of your game in your career, your business. And so I was thinking about this because I used to see this, as a coach, especially for younger players, when they're on offense and they take that shot and it goes in and they are celebrating so much until they miss going back on defense and the other team scores, and then they're like confused because now the players are coming back towards them. But as a coach, you're telling them like, okay, good, but go back on defense. And they're standing there because they're just looking for the applause, they're looking for the great job, congratulations, you did it went in. But go back on defense. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today, is go back on defense. So many people are stuck in the celebration. They're stuck in the I did it, I accomplished it, it went in moment, until the whole real game is going on down at the end of the court and you're missing it. And when you miss it, that can cause your team to lose. And yeah, you may have made that shot, but because your team lost, even if your team won, they may have won and it was a struggle to win because you were so busy celebrating. But if your team loses and your coach and manager, GM, whatever, boss, supervisor, whoever goes back and looks at that film, and in the workforce, they don't have the film of the work, but they have that mental film. When they start thinking back on, okay, this happened, that happened, this occurred, you might get cut because of that celebration. You might get cut. And it's crazy like that. You'll look at a sports team, and I use basketball as part of my analogy. I absolutely know football, baseball, understand soccer and the other sports, but I'm using basketball because it is a team sport, and they have, I want to say, the least amount of players on the field, not overall, but in the majority of the other sports. 5 from each team, 10 players on the court at one time. Whereas football is 11 per team, 22 on the field at one time. So I want to use basketball because I feel like the players are more visible in that way. They don't have any gear on that's covering their face or anything like that. So you could absolutely see who the players are. And when a player gets cut, released, traded, whatever you want to call it, people are surprised. Like, hey, what happened? Because they remember that moment when they made that shot. And they're like, yo, he made the game-winning shot, or he took that shot and it went in. He dunked on somebody. He did an alley-oop. He did whatever, made that move. And how did he get cut? Because the people that really are counting on him to not only make that shot on offense, they are also counting on him or her to play on defense, to defend what they have, to get back on offense, to get that ball back. And when they don't do that, then you're really hurting the team more than you're helping the team. That's why they always say you can't be just a one trick pony. You can't just have that one skill and think you're going to kill the game. You can't, just play on offense in basketball because you got to go back on defense. It's not like football or baseball where, you're on offense, you have the ball, it's your turn to, control whatever you're going to control for as long as you can. Football is fleeting. It could be right away, 3 and out. And so, you switch players to, you have a different set of players that come out on defense. I know with baseball is typically, relatively the same, but they will shake it up a little bit. But you have your one position, your one area that you're responsible for. And yes, in basketball, you have your positions, but you could literally be all over the place, especially if you're playing man to man. So, you have to be flexible, Gimbo. You have to be ready to pivot anytime and do what you need to do. Yes, you might be on offense, but a snap of the finger, you'll be on defense. Yes, you're on defense, and at the snap of the finger, you could be on offense. And at all times, you have to be ready. And I'm telling you, basketball is one of those sports that can definitely set you up for success, can definitely prepare you for so much in life. I think all sports are, for sure. But again, with basketball, it's so much back and forth, and it's quick. And so if you that one that's posing, with your hand up in the air, your shooting arm up, because that 3-pointer went in and you just watching it and it went in. What you doing? Come on, we got to go. Keep going. Go back on defense. Get that ball back, But when you standing there posing, and that's in life, that's in anything else that you're doing, you're not going to help the team win. And, even if you are the owner, even if you are the business owner or whatever, and, if after every moment you just standing there and posing, you could still lose. You can lose the morale of your team, of your employees. You can lose the confidence that your other clients may have in you because you just I did this for this client and, big and bad and posing and celebrating over here, but forgetting about the other clients that you have to serve. Get back on defense. Ooh-wee, I'm telling you. And if you are a coach, you know what I'm talking about, especially in basketball. When those, especially the younger ones or the players that have more finesse and, they just try to be, sleek with it and everything. They make that shot and they just think the game's over. And you still got 3 more quarters to go. That's why, I always use, when I'm doing coaching, I don't always, but most of the time I'll say, I use sports analogy. There's 4 quarters in a year. There's 4 seasons. There's 4 quarters in most sports. Or 2 halves. However you want to do it. You want to do you want to do half the year now and half the year later, whatever. Those are your two halves. However you want to shake it out, it all mimics sports, or sports mimics it. I don't know. So if you were that player that did take that shot and keep going back on defense, do that in real life. Do that in your career. Do that in your work. Listen, when I played basketball, I would get the ball, go under the down for a layup, and I wouldn't even look to see if it was going in. I would just shoot it up and keep running around the basket down on defense. 99% of the time it did go in, I want to say. But that's that muscle memory, because I knew it would. I knew exactly where to, put it in on the square, and it was going to go in. So that's with practice though. I would practice that. I practiced every day, practice all the time. I knew what my shot was going to be. I had a good side bank shot and I had the good layup. So my thing is, know what your shot is, practice it all the time. So it's money every time you take it. Every time you take it. You have that confidence, you have that muscle memory, you know what it is. And if it didn't go in, I'm still going back on defense, but I'm stopping kind of at half court looking back to make sure that, my team didn't take possession again. Maybe it didn't go in. Maybe somebody else had to get the rebound. And look, I would get my own rebound sometimes. You can feel it. When you are good at what you do, when you release something, you automatically know this is going to hit or this is going to miss. It's going to either hit or miss. And you can feel it. That's why, when I would release it, I would know that's money. If it was a little awkward, a little off, maybe my footing was not completely the way I knew it needed to be, I would pause and I would be on the other side to get the ball on the other end to put it back up for, to put it back up for 2 points and 2 points and one, because I probably got fouled in the process because it was aggressive like that. But I was just thinking, there's so many people in the workforce, there's so many people in business that, get that big contract if they have their own business. Oh, I got this big contract, this is it. And they stop even trying to find other contracts. They just, right there posing. You got to keep going. Go get back on defense. What do you need to get back on defense with? What poses are you finding yourself taking, and now you're missing opportunities because you was down at the other end of the court too long? I want you to think about that. And let's talk about it down in the chat. I appreciate you for stopping by. Remember, every day, practice. Practice so hard that when you get into play, you will always play to win. It's been my pleasure here today speaking with you. Remember, he carried the cross for me and for you. Have a great day. I am Coach Sherry.